Your Excellency, Anthony Thomas Aquinas Carmona, Your Grace, Archbishop Joseph Harris, Dhamacharya Pundit Uttam Maharaj, Reverend Audrey Charles, Pastor Leslie Moses, Bishop Samuel Dick, Imam Imtiaz Ghani, members of the Cabinet, members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the national community, with special reference to our boys and girls of the various schools gathered here with us this morning. Special recognition to the members of the steel orchestras, and of course, the members of the protective services and members of the media who transmit these proceedings to the wider national community. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today is a very special day for all of us in Trinidad and Tobago, particularly the members of the Muslim community who celebrate Eid al-Adha. Against that background, I would like to recognize the basis for today's celebration in the Muslim community. It's a story that's carried in the Bible as well, about this great man Abraham, who acknowledged God. And Abraham had a son called Jacob, whom he loved very dearly. And Abraham received instructions that if he really loved God, he would be required to make a sacrifice. And apparently, initially, Abraham was willing and had no problem until he was told that the sacrifice that he was required to make was to slay his son Jacob. Isaac. So it was a long time ago, so but I'm corrected. It was Isaac, yes, Abraham and Isaac. But the point is that he set about to make the sacrifice, as serious as it was. And as he was about to execute the sacrifice, proving that he was prepared to make it, the angel stayed his hand. And people of Trinidad and Tobago, there's a lot we can learn today at Eid al-Adha from that story. And it is that we are required to make sacrifice. And that willingness to sacrifice could bring us God's recognition and the blessings that we ask for in all the prayers we make this morning. This is a nation that is called upon to make sacrifices at this time. So we say to the Muslim community, Eid Mubarak. And we say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, this is a period of sacrifice, but it is not to be in vain. But there's another story that we might look at again. Children's story this time. But it also involves the potential loss of life. And that's the story of the self-fulfilling prophecy of Chicken Licken, who just looked up, saw the sky, and decided that the sky was falling, and took off to tell the king about this impending disaster. And on the way, met Henlen, and she joined him. Met Turkey Lucky, Drake Lake, Duck Luck, and they all joined him to go and tell the king that the sky was falling in, until they met Fox Locks. And he said, I'll take you to the king. And they followed him to the king to tell the king that doom was upon them and the sky was falling in. Of course, the story ends with Fox Locks in his den, feasting on all of them because they followed him to tell the king that the sky was falling in. Trinidad and Tobago, our sky is not falling in. But a misunderstanding of our circumstances and an inability to make sacrifice as required could lead us to a place we wouldn't want to be. But today, as we have been reminded by all the pastors and preachers and pundits who talked to us today, they reminded us that we are a blessed people and that we have a lot to be thankful for. Whenever our sportsmen and women appear on the international stage carrying our flag, that sense of pride that we should all feel is a lot to be thankful for. Whenever we receive a pay packet, large or small, or wake up in the morning without pain, there's a lot to be thankful for. And we must recognize that while there are challenges, if we add them up on a slate or on a tablet, we might very well understand that there's more to be grateful for than to be concerned and to complain about. And if ever there's a day that we should do that, it's today. Because as I left home this morning, the news was that 400 persons had been killed at Mecca. By the time I got here, the number has risen to 7, and God knows where it will end. We have been spared those pains. Recently, our brothers and sisters in St. Lucia, Dominica, experienced a storm. Not a hurricane, just a rainstorm, which virtually destroyed everything they worked for the last 20 years. And what I ask us to say here in Trinidad and Tobago is, there but for the grace of God, go Trinidad and Tobago. Not too long ago, in our very own region, in our neighborhood, we who are exposed to the potential of serious earthquakes, we saw what happened in Haiti. But once again, we were spared the ravages. We have a lot to be thankful for, and today is a day of thanksgiving. And what better day is there to give thanks than on Republic Day, where we can sing most lustily and take a pride in our liberty. Last week, Thursday, I had the opportunity, as your new Prime Minister, to chair the first cabinet meeting in Trinidad and Tobago with the coming of a new government. A government, hopefully, that will build upon the foundations laid by all previous governments, but a government taking responsibility for your country today going forward. After that meeting, I went to visit a very special group of citizens. The boys and girls of the Cyril Ross nursery who are afflicted by the AIDS virus. And when I got there, they prayed for me, and they moved me in a way that I didn't think that they could move me. And I remembered that I had a responsibility to them, even more so than I have to you in this hall today. Because if anyone needs our help, those children need our help. And then I found out that many of them, not knowing the origin, but living in the hope that we won't forget them. And then I asked, what help do you get from the state? And then I was told that they get $50,000 a quarter, and they live largely on the charities of the work of those volunteers in St. Vincent de Paul. And I made a decision right then and there that this will have to change. Because the eyes that almost came to tears when they prayed and hoped are the same eyes that would have seen where elsewhere in this community there are those who have been interfering with millions that don't belong to them, and some of it belong to those children. That is going to change. That will have to change. So as we give thanks for all that we have had at the personal level, at the community level, at the national level, we must give thanks that we've recognized our responsibility to those children and all that they represent in Trinidad and Tobago. Fellow citizens, at this time, let us look forward with great hope. Let us understand that it is out of the challenges will come the testing of our mettle. And we have every confidence that this land that produced Brian Lara and Richard Thompson and George Bovell and all these people, and all those who went before, making far greater sacrifices than we could ever hope to be called upon to make, that we will rise to the occasion and demonstrate the worthiness of citizenship in Trinidad and Tobago. Let us be worthy of this land. Let us be grateful that we can call ourselves children of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's live in love. Let's live in unity. If we work together, if each of us do what we are required to do, whatever that might be, this place could become the model nation that Sparrow sang about in 1962. So on today, this day of thanksgiving, of prayers, and in recognition of our Republican status, let's spare a thought for our founding fathers. Let's spare a thought for those in the clergy who continuously pray for us when we forget to pray, and those who are frugal and save some for us when we splurged in a way that we should not have. Let 2015, Republic Day, be a new beginning, and let us go forward and build our nation together. Thank you, and continue to pray for this blessed nation.